here with head men's hockey coach Eric Lang. Coach, it's been a abrupt change for you going over to the men's side from the women's side. What has been the most difficult part of the transition for you so far?
I guess initially just getting to learn the personnel and some of the even personalities here, and obviously we had some cuts to make and making sure that we got the right 28 guys in that locker room. So for me, a little bit of a learning curve, just who can play, versus who can't, and trying to put this whole thing together.
You alluded to the cuts you had to make. You inherited a roster of about 39 kids or so, and you basically immediately had to come in and start cutting people. How difficult was that? What was the process that we went into that, and how you could learn about these players as quickly as possible?
One of the first things we did was I had, which isn't a whole lot of time, but we had 5-minute meetings with just about every kid in the program, and I try to get a little bit into their character and what they can deliver to us here. And then we went 4 days of pretty much tough hockey out on the ice, and as I told the guys, I'm trying to get this thing right, and I can't be, I'm not 1,000% that I have it right, but I did my work and called some junior coaches and did some digging a little bit. So the 28 guys we have in that room right now, I'm really comfortable with, and the handful of guys we had to let go. It's tough, and it's not easy, and it wasn't something I was excited to do for sure.
Now, obviously having been with the women's team for 3 years, how familiar were you with the guys on the men's team? Was it something where you had to learn basically everything in a couple of days, or was there any familiarity beforehand that you knew about?
I enjoyed watching Keith's practices. I probably watched 3-4 days a week of their practices and what they're doing, and Keith and I have always shared stuff back and forth, and anytime the men were home and we weren't playing, I'd always watch them. So I have some familiarity. I have Keith as a great resource who's still in the building, and I probably to a fault text him, a couple times a week saying, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy? The nice thing is Arlen was here last year, and he really knows the personnel. So, between what I know and what I'm seeing, I feel like we got it right.
Now, you mentioned Keith. How difficult is it for you coming in, following in the footsteps of Keith, who was so successful here for 12 years, and the fact that he's still a big presence as athletic director? Does that put any added pressure on you, or do you feel any difficult circumstances trying to follow him up?
I guess for me not to use Keith, who's in the building, as a resource, it'd be pretty foolish of me. He's built a great program here. I've always admired Manhattanville hockey, even when my days over at AIC. This program's been right in my backyard, and to be honest with you, I hadn't even heard of Manhattanville College, and I lived 12 miles away, and all of a sudden they have this nationally ranked program, and at the end of the day, Keith turned over a program that doesn't need a facelift. I'm not looking to give this thing a makeover. It's, I'll have some things that I'm going to add to the table here. But, to go back to what, to what you said there, Keith has been unbelievable, and he's been unbelievably supportive, and, I'm excited.
Now, you said you spent time at AAC before this. Have you noticed any differences in the first couple of weeks between the men's game and the women's game? And how do you feel you're making the transition from one to the other?
Good question. I think, initially, just the amount of guys we've had out there has created a pretty intense environment. And, it was edgy out there, to put it nicely. And, that would be the immediate thing is the physical play, obviously, state the obvious. And, at the end of the day, my 3 years with the women's program, I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world. I'm a better coach today because of it. And, I'm still continuing to make adjustments every day, but, I wasn't too far removed from the men's game. So,
Turning to the on-ice stuff a little bit, what players, at least in the first couple of weeks, have turned your head a little bit? What players do you see being major role players in this team this season?
Sure. Two seniors that stand out to me right now, Evan Michaelchuk and Billy Salengo, have been terrific. They've provided leadership, intensity. They've been great soldiers with some of the change that we're looking to make here. Pio Lemieux is everything Keith has talked him up to be. He's going to be one of the top goaltenders in the country, so Pio's been extremely impressive. And Brian Elser's in terrific shape, and Lucas Vanatter, and some of the freshmen that have come in kind of turned my head a little bit is a kid by the name of Rivera, Barbera, and Chalier, along with J.P. Woodcop on defense. They've looked like they're going to give us some help right away. So I'm certainly excited about the personnel that was left over here.
Now, you guys were picked to finish 4th in the ECAC West preseason poll, pretty far behind Newman, Utica, and Elmira towards the top. Do you, as a coaching staff or as a team, pay attention to that at all? Does that play any role into the way you guys prepare for a season?
I don't think it changes things. The goal here is to be the best at everything we do. We talk about, we want to win the conference. We want to win the playoffs. We ultimately want to be a national championship team here. So from that standpoint, it doesn't say, hey, we were picked 4th here or tied for 5th or whatever it was. Maybe it adds a little motivation to the guys. I did put it up. There were guys huddled around it. Guys weren't happy about it. Maybe maybe that's a good thing. The guys are showing up here a little bit motivated. Maybe a little bit, hey, we got something to prove. So will I use it as a tool? It is what it is.
And finally, what are you as a coach looking most to get out of this trip coming up to Michigan? Obviously, this is a 3 or 4 day trip. Can be a bit of a bonding experience for the guys. What are you looking as a coach to most get out of these couple of days of the game against the US 18 team?
For me personally, it's just getting to know some of these guys. Spend 5 minutes, 7 minutes here with a guy that I haven't spent that much time with. So for me personally, getting to know some of these guys and obviously for the young guys and the old guys to mesh. 10 hours on a bus is certainly a long time, and we're excited. We're playing a U18 team here on Saturday that's picked off some Division I schools. Played Michigan 3-2, who's currently #1 in the country. I think it's a great challenge for us, and historically we've always played well against these guys. So Saturday should be fun.